So, good day, and you are welcome to this channel. So, mainly today we'll be talking about Git and GitHub. And I know over the time a lot of people have been experiencing a lot of well drawback in using Git, especially from the terminal or from any other places that you use for coding. And then this will be a somehow a bit of an explanation to many people that have been experiencing that. So my own name is Sidowolu Asheyi. So you are welcome once again, and I'm currently on the phone, so I know there are a lot of resources already for system, and that's why I just decided to stay here, and then one way or the other I'll be able to pick one or two things. At least I know most people they are with mobile, so if you can do this too on your mobile phone, then at least it will be a bonus and addition for you. So the first thing that we like to know is some few information about GitHub. But before I mention that, I will be using the ALS software engineering course, some of the projects, especially there is one I will be using, so we'll be walking through the project while we are making use of GitHub and then discussing the whole thing. So some few things for you to note, and that's why it's very important. If you get on any platform, it's good to always check through on what the platform stands for and what you can get to hold on to about the platform. Okay, so this is the about page of GitHub. So if you want to go to GitHub, just open your browser, then you type in github.com. So that will get you straight to GitHub. But why it's not coming up like that in here is because I'm already signed in into the GitHub. And then, but I want to quickly show you something before I continue. Let me just log out so that I will be able to mention that. So as you can see, this is the home page of GitHub. So you can see github.com, and then this is the home page, so where the world builds softwares. So GitHub has been said to be a version control system, and that is very true. If you go down, this is very important because one way or the other you can decide to check it out and then see. So let me see whether we have that here. Okay, there are a lot of things. So as you can see, you see that it's supported on mobile too, and that's just it. Now for GitHub, the first thing is that you can come here. Once you sign up, you can come in here and work on your file directly without any. So as you can see what is going on here, so I'm currently on the home page of the GitHub home page and you can see what's going on. So it means you can do this on your mobile regardless of the task at hand. But so you can come to GitHub and do whatever you want to do, create your file, make changes your file, and then do whatever you want to do right here on GitHub. But most of the time, if you are working, probably you are working from your terminal, and then you might have to push in your code to GitHub, to your repository on GitHub. So let me sign in. So I click on sign in, and then so I already have the account in here. Let me just sign in. So then so now immediately you sign up, and then you are signed in. The first thing, that one of those beautiful thing that you can do on this place on GitHub is to actually the best way to learn about GitHub is actually from GitHub themselves. So you can see this. I have a video here, get started on GitHub. So this video actually explains a lot about GitHub and then what it stands for. So I've been trying to do a lot of, I've seen a lot of people come to me and then I do a lot of explanation for them. But if you actually come here and then you watch this video, so the time I start using this platform, I had to come here and watch this video over. I downloaded the video, watch it over and over again. So one thing you can do is to actually do that too. So when it comes to GitHub here, then so looking at the video you can learn a lot, and then as I have said, and then you can make sure that you are able to work on whatever you want to work on, so you learn everything that has to do with GitHub. Before I start the work on the project, so this is the project that I will be working on. So I'm still here on, so I will be working on this particular project. Okay, so this particular project in ALS. So as you can see, that's 0 times 03 dot git. So I'll be using this project. So it's actually I'll be using this project to just explain some things about GitHub, and then we'll be writing our code and then pushing it to GitHub. The first thing that needs to be done is for you to understand what GitHub stands for. Even I actually felt like playing that video so that one way or the other you can get a glimpse of what it stands for. I actually want to log out, and then because I'm not using this, I want to make use of another account, so I've gotten it right. So I'll be using this particular account on GitHub to just demonstrate what I'm trying to explain. We'll be walking through the project, so it might take a bit of time, but I want to make this a once and for explanation for anyone that is having issue with Git and GitHub and everything. So I made mention of this particular video, though I'm off the page. I wish I can just play that video, but what you do is whenever you come to GitHub here, try to look into that particular video. So the first thing to note about GitHub is a version control system, and that means as you work on your code, there are other platforms that are version control system. So that means as you work on your code, whether you have a project you are working on it, but most of the time as a developer you will have one or two other persons that are working on the project, or even an entire team, and they might be across different locations on the globe. And for synchronization sake, for the work to be synchronized, there is need for a combined space, a single space where everyone can push in their work, and then you can see the changes all together and then continue with the work and update and do every other thing. So let's say we have a work and then there are people in different places. So what GitHub does is that it gives you a space, and once you are in this space, different people can be connected to that space like a room. So as people are working, you are bringing what you create or what you work on, you are bringing it to that room. And that's just a simple idea of GitHub. So in the room, so the work can be done differently on different local machines, but GitHub serve as a server, as a platform. So most of the time, coders and developers, they call GitHub as like is a bank. GitHub is your bank where you save your code, you save your work, your project. But so it means that anytime you can actually come in and see what you have done, show anybody that have access to that room, to that storehouse, can have access to it. So that is just the simple idea of GitHub. So if you have, maybe you have one or two, three persons that you are working on a project in different locations, there is no way you can actually get your changes or your work, your codes in your local machine down to the person. So GitHub helps to maintain the synchronization. So if I work over here, I send it to the repository, to the storehouse that we have created. The same thing is the other person to send it in. Then the idea of version control system comes in this form. Let's say we have done some work, and then we have worked on a project and we have an output. Maybe we have an app or a software that we have produced. Then as time goes on, we make more research, and then we find out that there are still more, we can make it better, or along the line it is tested, and then we see some informations that we are receiving to make it better. And then so and in making it better, it might not be what everybody, might just be a section of the software that need to be attended to. So one of the engineers on the project might be the one to undo it. So now, in a bid not to tamper with the what is already on ground, with already produced work, then there is need for a way to like create a branch. And I just mentioned one of the terms in GitHub that is very important. So that is called branching. So you just branch out and then create maybe an update, or you write your code and then you send it in. So in that branch, it's from the master, which is called the main. So I'm already talking about the terms that will be coming across as we go on. So we have the main or master. So the master is the main, the main the mainstream the mainstream of the project. So it's just like the the main, that's the basic, the direct source. And then so in the master, you have the everything about the work. So anybody that have access to the master can actually tamper with anything about the work. So that is, so you can create a branch and then write your code, then send in the code. So now when you write your code, you work on your local machine. How you get it to GitHub is using what we call pushing. But before at all, so let's just quickly work on the terms one after the other. So some of the terms you'll be seeing, let me just see if I can quickly walk you through. So this is a project on Git that is a project to totally introduce and then um, have make engineers, software engineers, to have a hands-on on GitHub, on working with GitHub. So you can see here, you can see there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of things here. What is source code management? What is Git? And then so what is GitHub? what is different between Git and GitHub, how to create a repository, what is a README, how to write good READMEs, how to commit, how to write helpful commit messages, how to push code, how to pull updates, how to create a branch, how to merge branches, how to work as collaborator on a project, which file should and which file should not appear in your repo. So those are some of the informations that you'll be coming across. So you can see git clone, git commit, git push, origin main, and several other things like that. Now, the first thing in working with GitHub is to actually create a repository. After you have signed in or after you have signed up, there is need to have a repository, and that's why if you come on the dashboard itself, what you will have there is to create a repository. So most of the time what you will have on the dashboard will be to create a new repository. You will always see that often every now and then, create a new repository. So the idea of creating a repository is just like creating an account in a bank. So and then you create an account in a bank, you register with a bank, then you now create an account. So that account can hold anything that you want to save in it. So that's the idea of a repository. So you can see here we have 3 repository already. So this is the username, then slash the repository that has been created. So you will always have that link where to just say create a new repository. So you always have that almost every time. So okay, so you always have that. So you can create, so the repository is a place that will hold your work. So it's a place that will hold your work. So if there is a project that you are working on or that a group of persons are working on, so first thing is to come to GitHub here and create a repository. While creating the repository, you will set some information for the repository, like is it public or private, and then some other things that we have to do with that repository. So that is the first thing. Now the next thing, so let me quickly just go through some things that will be. So the next thing, after you have created a repository, the next thing now, you want to do your work on your local machine. Let's say you are on a terminal, you are probably on any terminal, or you SSH into a terminal, maybe a web terminal, or you are on terminal on Ubuntu or Linux or Kali or whatever, or Mac OS. So and you do your work. So there are two things now, and you want to get you do your work and you want to get your work to so you can see this is the button. So I just click on repository, I click on repository, and this is the button to create a new repository. So if I click on new repository, it will just go ahead, then the name of the repository will just come up, and then public or private, and then several other things that has to do with the repository. So that's that on that. Now after you have created the repository, now go on your local machine to start doing your work. Now the first thing that you need to do is to clone your repository. So now the repository, cloning your repository means that you are creating a direct access between your repository and your local machine, and that is why you see the first thing here is to create and set up your Git and GitHub account. Now then the next thing is to you need to create a token. So in order to have a seamless journey in order to have a seamless journey in your work, or in order to have a seamless access to your repository, to your storehouse, you need to have a personal token. The token is just like it's an highly secured code that give you access to the repository with the permissions and everything that you have given to you. So how to get your to get your token is this. So you click on, so if you are on system, it's very straightforward, just like we have it on mobile here too. So you just click on this button here you click on this top left, this three horizontal lines. You click on it, then you come down to settings. When you get to settings, you go down, straight down to what we call to developer settings. So that's what we have down here, developer settings. So you click on it. Now when you get here, you click on personal access token. So when you click on that, so you can see I have some token that I've already gotten for different projects. So now here now you can, so you just click on generate new token. I won't be doing this because I've already done that. So now the first thing that you need to notice, you need to state the reason why you are generating the token. Then don't forget the expiration of the token. So the token can work as far as you give it has access, or it is still valid. So here now you can see we have several validity period. It depends on you, because it depends on you, maybe probably what you are working on and who will be using the token. So most of the time, if it's something that you'll be using that you don't want any disturbance, you can set it to no expiration. But this is not advised. It's not really advised, because anybody that have access to your token can actually do anything with your account. So now these are the permissions. So you can see, so I'm clicking on the permission. So you can see you just grant the token the permission depending on the use. So it depends. So if you give, most of the time, well, it depends on you. Just try and know what you are doing. So when you give the permission, you grant the permission, then you click on generate token. So it will generate the token, and what you need to do is to copy out the token and keep it in a safe place. So just find a place to copy it and then put it there. I had some that, so what I actually do is I go to, it depends on you, just find a place to keep it, because it will be very useful for your work. So after you have done that, then you now need to, so you need to go ahead and now clone in your local machine. You need to clone your repository. So I hope you are with me. You need to clone your repository. So in cloning your repository, it will actually go this way. Okay, to actually go this way. So when you have your, so we already have our repository, we've created one, then we have our token. You have given it the description, that's some information that you are seeing here. So and then you make it public. Then what you now do is, now so you go to your terminal, whatever you'll be using to write your code, and these are the process that is involved in cloning your repository. When you get to your terminal, then you need to now go ahead and put in this command. So you need to, when you on your terminal, you need to put in this command. So before I go ahead, let me just quickly explain through the whole process. So after you clone your repository, the next thing is to go ahead and do your work, make your changes, write your codes, create your files, write your code, create your executable, whatever you want to do. And then so after you are done, then you now need to add, you need to you need to make an input the command git add. Then git add also has it has several other options that are attached to it, but most of the time you'll be seeing git add then space dot. So that one, git add, it's saying that you want to, it's just like you are packing together all the work that you have done, like all your code, you are packing it together, you are bringing them together, that okay, I'm about to send this work somewhere, so let me gather it together. That is what git add does. Then after you have done that, the next thing is to commit. That's with the command git commit. That one too has its option. That's what you are seeing here. So after git add, you can see here, after git add, you can see after git add space dot, then you do git commit. That's after you have worked, then you see. So this is actually how commit goes. So now you see git commit dash m, that is saying okay, you are sending it to the main. You might not understand this in total, but as we go ahead you will get to understand it better. Then so you have a commit message. So git commit is just like you saying you want to label your work, you want to package your work that you want to send out. You are packaging your work that you want to send out. That is git commit. You are labeling it, you are packing it together, you are packing it together, then you now label it, and then you now want to send it out. Now as time goes on, you'll be having, maybe you are having different work at different time. It's not compulsory you add everything, because this will be bringing together all the work that you have been doing, all your codes that you have written, all the files that you have created in that particular folder, in that particular repository, in that directory that is your repository. But what you can do is, if you want to specify the file, just come at the back of this of your commit message, then just put in the files that you want to send to your repository. But initially it can be all your file, but as time goes on, you maybe just one single file that you work on. Then after you have input git commit dash m, then my first commit, you've put in your commit message. Then after that, then you can write the file name as much as possible, then state the file name. Then after you've done that, it will tell you that it has updated those files. Then the last thing that you need to do is to now do git push. That is what we have here, git push. So after you clone, you go ahead and do your work, write your code, create your executable, create your files, write your codes, and then after that, then after you are done with your work, then you git add. That is bringing your work together that you want to send to your repo, which is your storeroom, which is your remote space for your work. Then you git commit. That's just like labeling your work, labeling your work, your code or your file or everything. It can be several files, you label it, and that's why we have the commit message. This can help you to keep track of whatever is going on with your project. It helps to keep track of what is going on. You can make a change, and that change might be dangerous. You can use this commit message to know exactly, or to trace when the certain changes are coming in. So that is the benefit of this git commit. You can revert back to any commit, or you can check what goes on at a particular time, and then you can go back in time using this your commit message. Now then you see, then after that, then we have git push. So immediately you git push, your work goes to your remote server, it goes directly to GitHub inside your repository. So you have it there in your repository. It means that even if your local machine is destroyed, or whatever happens along the line, or probably you have some update, your files are wiped, or you have any error that happens in your local machine, you still have access to it. So that is, those are just the basic process. Now let's now say, let's now say you already have some, let's say you already have some work, or you already have a repository, and you want to work, you already have work on that repository, and you need those the files in that repository on your local machine. What you can do is, there is a git command called git pull. So this is git push. We use it to push your file to GitHub. There is a command called git pull. Git pull, that's push and pull. So git pull is, you want to bring the files in your, after you have cloned your repository, then you want to bring the files in your repository to your local machine. Then you do git pull. It will bring everything in your repository down to your local machine. It brings the files in your repository, the everything you have, what you have in your repository, it brings it down to your local machine. So while explaining this to someone, the person said, in order to make it easier, so git push is just like uploading, then while git pull is like downloading. So you download all your file, that's pull. Then there are some other command for git command are not so much. It's just the options that are attached to them that might vary along the line. So we have we have git pull. We have what we call forking. That's FORK, fork. So that's just, let's say you are not part of a project before, and then you now want to, or you have some, you are now part of the project. Maybe they bring you in as an expert on that project, and then you need to work on that project too, but you will be needing the files that are already in that repository. So what you can do in order for you to be able to, if you clone the repository, since you don't have access to the master, because usually you will not be given access to the master in major project. You won't have access to the master, and that's why GitHub is a version control system. So most of the time, even in a real time project, the master is always reserved. The works are not going on the master, because any single mistake with the master, the whole work can be wiped out. So they create a branch from which every other person can bring in their work, and then when everything is certified, there will be somebody in charge of the master that can now bring it in. So what you do is, there is a project there is an ongoing project, and then you are brought in as an expert on the project, or to be part of the project. And then, in order for you to have access to everything in that repository, what you do is you can fork that repository, and that is, you do that directly on GitHub. So that is just saying, you are bringing in that repository under your own account on GitHub. So immediately you do that, it brings the whole directory down to your own account on GitHub, and that means that you can personally the directory is now in your on your account, so it means you have full access to everything in that directory. Why not tampering with what you have in the main project for the person that created the account or the repository? So that is the idea of forking. There is another term called stashing that talks about deleting. So but you not really need that unless probably things comes up. So that is that. What I will just say is, if you want to really make a grab more of some of the terms, you can what I always advise upcoming software engineers to do is to just go online. You can just type in on your browser, maybe just type in git command git command or git cheat sheet. That's cheat sheet, that is quick command, the summary, a single page command for GitHub, or a file, or it can be a PDF file, yes, most of the time PDF file, a document that explains, that lists all the command for Git and operations with GitHub, and then what the command does. So you can try and do that, so that you have a grab on what needs to be done, what code or what command does what. So let's quickly go through today's project. Having said that, uh, so we have created the first thing is to create an account on GitHub. We have done that, and I believe you have done that already. Then create a personal access token. We have done that. Then you need to now, so step 2 is for it depends on what you are working with. Step 3 is to create your first repository. So our repository is there. We have many here already, but we'll be using one of these. So let me go back to our dashboard. So the one we'll be working with is this particular one. So you can create yours if you don't have it. So that is what this ALX 0day. So ALX 0day, that is the repository that is required for this project, and that's why you see it in, so you can see it here, ALX 0day. Then so the next thing is, now we clone. You go to your terminal, then you clone the repository. And how do you do that? So to clone, it is by the command git clone, then git clone, then the URL of the of your repository. So when you click on your repository, so after you input git clone, then you come here. Then when you click on that repository, you see I just click on the ALX 0day. So this URL, the URL of this repository, so that is the next thing that you'll be needing. So you can see it up here. And so what you just do is you copy that. So you copy that, and then you can continue. So the next thing to be done after you have gotten that, then you copy your token too, that you have people having diverse issue with this particular having issue with understanding this whole process. So in order to clone your repository, this is what you do. So you go to your terminal, then you input the command. So this is what you input, git clone. So I hope you are able to see this, git clone, then space, then your URL https the URL of the repository. You can just grab it directly from your browser. This is it. So you grab it directly from here, you copy it. So that is the best way in order for you not to make a mistake. Then you come here. So what I will just do is I will put it in, I will paste it here. So after you paste the link of your repository, of the repository that you are trying to clone, then the next thing you do is now to, if you just go ahead and input this, it will actually, if you put it in your terminal or on your coding platform, it will actually go ahead. But the next thing is it will keep asking you for password. Almost every time, anything you are doing, it will keep asking you for password, username and password, username and password. And that is where the use of our token comes in. So with your token, you have seamless permission, seamless access to, you have seamless access to your, to the repository, to your repository. So put that in here. So I will use that too. So this is, so what you do is, this is your token. So your token will mostly look like this. Exactly. So this is your token. So your token will look like this. So you can see what I just pasted out here. So this is your token. So your token will mostly look like this, a very long code, and it's just to secure your repo. So what you do is you copy your you copy the token, and what you do is you come after the two slash in your, after the two slash https colon slash slash, after the two slash, that's where you put your token. So what I do is I move this out, you paste your token here. So you can see your token, then you can move, you continue. So you see, so after the https and then after the two slash, you put in your token, then you continue with the URL GitHub. Then but before you continue, you put at. So after the token, you include at github.com slash your username slash the name of the repository. Immediately you master this, you can just go ahead without even bothering about anything other than your token. So then at the end of the whole thing, you put .git. Don't forget that .git. Don't forget .git. That's very, very crucial. And that is how I come about what I have down here. So that's how I come about what I have down here. So what I just do is git clone, then space git space clone space, then your 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 link, your repository link, then at the end you have .git. So this is what you need to clone any repository. That's what you need to clone any repository. Immediately you have this, you are good to go cloning your repository. So let me just go ahead. So I've already cloned this repository, but I want you to learn something. So we copy this because that's what we'll be working with, and then let's go to the project. Let me just show you. So you see, that is where, so what we just did now, that is where all this information comes from. So from here, and you can see they put the instruction there, git clone https then underscore, then you see a curly bracket, your personal token at github.com, then slash your username slash the name of the repository .git. That is what we just generated just now. So that is how you come about that. Then so when you input this code, you have all this, so it will just tell you cloning into that repository, and then you go ahead and then it gives you, then you can now go into that directory. It will bring everything on your it will bring everything on your local machine, and then that means you have cloned the repository. So let's go ahead. So for this, since I'm on mobile, I will be using some mobile app for this project. So I'm using Termux, Termux, Termux for this particular project. So well, you can use anything. It's the same thing if you are on your terminal or whatever, but it depends. I'm just doing this in order to still give better information on how this works. So what you do is, so I just paste this. So most of the time you need to be in the directory that you want to clone your uh your so sometimes you might have to navigate to your root or your home folder, depending on what you are working with, or the instruction that you are working with. So for me here, the since I'm on mobile, there is no root, so we only have, so I just do pwd, that's print working directory. That will tell you the current directory that you are in. So if I input this now, so I'm in home directory, I paste this. So this is the whole information that you need to clone your repository. Git clone, then your link, then ended by .git. So then you do, then immediately you input that. You can see, so it says what it says now. So I want you to see this. So it says fatal destination path ALS 0day 0_day already exists and is not an empty directory. So but for in your case, it will just go through, and what you will have, this is what you will have. Let me quickly put one or two things together and show. So for you, it will actually go through, and then this is what you will have. And then when you do that, it will tell you that it's cloning into the repository. That is what you just have here. Then later, after it's done, it will tell you this. It will give you a warning. If the repository is empty, it will tell you that you are cloning to an empty repository. Now after that is done, then what you just do is, now you change your directory. You do cd, that's change directory, into that directory that you just clone. So you just navigate into that directory. That's what you see here. Cd into that directory, you change directory into that directory. Now the first thing you will need to do, so now immediately you do that, you are now already in that directory. As you can see here, you can see, so you are already in that directory. So the first thing that you do for professionals, for profession's sake, in order to be a pro, you need to include, it's always a good attitude or a good habit to include a readme file. That's what you can see here, readme file in your directory. So what you just do is, you just follow this command. So echo, then your the information you want to put in the readme file, then follow by, then you see, you just check it. So echo, then what you want to put in the file, which is this, that is having this don't forget the inverted comma at the top, at the two sides of what you want to put in the file. So then followed by a greater than sign. That means that you are sending this information into this file. That is what this command does. So it's just to create this file. So it will create this file and send this information into the file. So then, so as long as it's in that your directory, so it's already there. So if you input this command cat your readme .md, that's you want to see what is inside this file, and that is what we have here. So that is why we have all this. So let's just go ahead. Then so you already, so the next thing now is to update your Git identity, on your machine, on your terminal, or on your machine, so that it will give you seamless access. These are just the process. Immediately you understand this, you have freedom. So as you go ahead, you'll be seeing that sometimes some people will be working, and when they want to push their work, they keep the it keeps the terminal keep asking them for a password and then and username, and that's because if this information are not updated, you might not have the seamless access. And even if it's updated, if you don't have a good, what will I call it, if you don't have your token, it might actually also say. So the next thing you do is you update your, and this is how you do that. So git config, then git space config space dash dash global dash user dot email. Then this is the, so you input this command, so then to this place. Then after that, you here, this is an example. They say you at example.com, so that is actually your email. So you input your email address, enclosed in a quotation mark. So you can see it's a quotation here and then a quotation mark here. So don't forget that. So after you do that, the next thing is you update your username. So the same way, git config dash dash global, then user dot name, then what you have in the quotation mark now is now your username, your git username. So once this is done, then you are good to go. So the next thing is you now want to see if we have a direct access to our repository from our machine. So we want to push the work to, so if we have an access to our server, then we need to, so we have created our file, we have make our changes, we created a file, that's readme. Then let's push it to our repository. So now how do we do that? You add the file, that is git add that I just mentioned the other time, git space add space full stop. Then so after you do that, then you now need to commit. So I've explained this. You can just try and go back and listen and check the explanation. So you git commit. So you stage your file, and then after you git commit, then you now need to push. So those are just all the process that is involved. Those are all the process that is involved. So you commit, and lastly, so you git push. So immediately you do this, it push the work to your repository, and it means that it push the work to your repository that will grab the link the other time. And most of the time it will tell you the branch, which is the branch most of the time will be master if you have not created another branch. So that is just the idea. So that is how to clone and how to work with GitHub. Now if you are here for this particular project, so I've just explained how to use Git, how to put in your work. So let me quickly, so if you want to, yes, let me now continue here. So now we have seen the whole process. So let's see it working. So now I try to put in our link that we used to clone, but it's telling me that fatal destination path ALS 0 day, that is the repository is already cloned in this particular directory or on this particular machine. So what's the next thing? So he said it's already exist. So let's see how to find out whether you already have you have cloned. What shows that you have cloned a repository is this. So normally if it's saying is existing, then let's change our directory into this particular directory because we have cloned it. So we have the directory on our device. So you change directory to, so we change our directory to als 0 day 0_day. So it means the directory is existing. So we are already in that directory, as you can see. So that's what I have here. So you can see we're already in that directory. So now what's the next thing you need to do if you want to find out truly how do we know, or how does this device know that this repository is already here, or that this directory is already cloned, or that we have already cloned this repository. Now let's do ls. So we want to list the content of this particular directory, so you use ls. So I enter that and it shows this. So it shows what we have in the directory. So I've already started some work, but I want to just use it to explain a lot of things out and then make it as simple as ABC. So I've created the readme. So if I do, let me just do, or before I do that, so actually you see that there is nothing that shows that our directory is already the repository is cloned. Or how do we know? What you do is, now there is an hidden folder, an hidden git folder that is already in this directory, that shows that creates the synchronization between this directory and the repository on GitHub. So now what do you do? How do we find out? How you list, I've said hidden directory, you list the hidden directory, that is ls-a. So ls, if you input ls dash, that's saying show hidden directory. That's an option for ls. So if I enter that, we now see some files come up. So you see dot, then you see .git. This .git is the one that shows that this directory is already cloned. So it's an hidden folder, but that is where the synchronization or the details, the server details of our repository, our GitHub details, that is where it is being logged. So that is where we have the information, everything, all the files that makes the connection possible. Now how do we have not yet get into our repository. So how do we now create that synchronization? How do we create that synchronization? That's the next thing. That's the next question. Because most of the time, if you change directory and you clone again, it will still clone that directory. It will clone that directory, but you will lose these files that you already have there. So how do we so what we do is we initiate the connection. So how do you do that? I've said you should try and check out for a git command. So just do git command cheat sheet. So that is cheat sheet. That is a sheet, a simple document, simplified document that just give the command about git and what they do. So what you can just do here is you do git init. That is, I want to initiate the connection, git init. don't forget git init. If you already have a repository that is already cloned, so this almost is a lot of trouble for most beginner or for the first time people that are using GitHub, or that you want to work with GitHub. So I was there once, but we learn. So in order to make it simple for you, don't forget. So if you have how to confirm, we have seen that you just list the hidden. If it says the directory already exists or the repository already exists, just change your directory into that directory. Change directory into that directory, navigate in that directory, and then do ls-a. That is, should show all the hidden files, and then you will see this .git folder. This .git folder, you will see it in your in the among those things that will be listed. So what you just do is you now initiate that connection, that is git init, where you can use any other command. As far as I know, some of us, we are already experts, so you can use any other command that you, but this, at least I've been using this and it makes it easier. And then so you do git init, then you enter that. So you can see what it says. It said reinitialized existing. I hope you can read this. So sorry for that, my battery is a bit down. So it said reinitialize existing git repository in this. So it has now initialized the whole thing. So it means now me too, I can push, I can pull. I've now create the connection back. I've created the connection back between my machine here and my repository on GitHub today. So now, so we can go ahead and do our work. So if you are if what you want to learn is just okay, so this is all about Git and GitHub. So let me just stop the video. If what you want to learn is about this particular project, that is this ALS Git project, you can just check the next video after this. So thank you so much, guys. So one thing that you need to do, you can, so in order to have more information coming, so you can make sure that you like this video, you subscribe, click on the subscribe button, and then also share the link with others. So you can click on the notification bell, so that if we update anything, you can always have it here. So thank you so much for coming. Then if you have anything to ask, you have any information to ask, what you can do is put it in the comment section, or you want me to explain anything as simple as this too, as simply as simplified as this that we just do here. So just put it in the comment section below. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming around, and then I will see you in the next video.